Good evening. Tonight I want to talk to you about the economy. Last week I asked you a question. Where is the economy going? We're going to talk to 3 experts on where they think the economy is going. And we're going to read some of your questions and analyze. Join us tonight. Our first guest tonight is Cole Butcher. Cole Butcher works for Merrill Lynch, and his emphasis is the economy. Newly married to his wife of last week, and we congratulate you.
Hey, thanks so much.
And thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our first question comes from a resident of St. George, Utah. His name is Richard. And he asks, you've previously stated that you believe that by reallocating our nation's tax spending, we'd be able to cut our ever-increasing debt. What is your proposal for doing so?
Oh, it's the ultimate question, right? I mean, the ever-increasing debt. I mean, you can even go on Google and look at the U.S. national world debt clock, and it's...
I've seen that. It's staggering.
Yeah, it really is. And so, breaking down the numbers from 2015, for the tax money that we spent, 33% of it went to Social Security, unemployment, and labor. 27% went to Medicare and health, and 16% went to the military. Now, my proposal is simply reallocating where our tax money is going so that these functions such as the military aren't getting as much money as they currently are.
Is this realistic?
Absolutely. It's something that, as we look at long term, as we look at the broad scheme of things, I truly believe that as we begin taking money, let's look at education. Education is only receiving 3% of our tax money. The environment is only receiving 1%. Now, these are things of long-term concern, and they're receiving next to nothing. So think of the military. We're putting more money into the military than the next 10 countries combined. Now, do we need to be putting that much money into it?
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
and so is that necessary? I don't think so. I think that by reallocating our tax money, we can then increase taxes and then put that money into paying off our debt.
And with repercussions are bound to come, many Americans unhappy with the cut in their paychecks. How would you implement this smoothly?
Well, obviously it's something that we do have to be careful with. This isn't something that you flip on a dime. We do it today and tomorrow. But it's something I believe that long term we're looking at a better situation for our country. Our debt is just increasing at an astronomical pace, and we have to slow it down. We have to diminish it. And I believe that by reallocating those taxes, taking some money from the military, from these other areas where I don't necessarily think it's that important, I think that we could be paying off that deficit.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, I apologize, but cutting funds from the military, will that eliminate jobs? Aren't we trying to create jobs?
Absolutely. And that's the ultimate goal, right? Create jobs, increase the economy, and boost the morale of the whole entire country. And I believe by this proposal that this will not cut jobs. What this simply does is put our money in a better position.
And you know a little bit about the proposal. You just did it a couple months ago.
I did, yeah.
Congratulations. And
Thank
we
you.
appreciate your time, and thank you. And
Appreciate it.
there you have it, Richard. What are some staggering numbers? What are you going to do about it? Our second guest tonight is Mr. Rauch. Mr. Rauch is President and CEO of Goldman Sachs. Mr. Rauch, thank you for being here tonight. Our second question from Brooke Christensen, who lives in Farmington, Utah. Mm-hmm. Her question is, how are the bonds affecting our national debt?
Okay, so bonds are, in general, a very useful tool. For instance, currently we use them to enable us not to have to increase our taxes. But the problem here is that when you take out too many,
Sure.
you have all this interest that you have to pay on this lent money.
Of course.
So for 2017, we're looking at $303 billion worth that we have to come up with to just pay interest on our current bonds. So that's a lot of money.
And what's the alternative?
Obviously, decreasing how much we borrow and switching over to a mindset of paying down our current debt.
The follow-up question that she has, and it's very concerning to her, and is Social Security. And she asks, Social Security is the largest sector for government expense. What are a few ways to cut back on the Social Security?
Yeah, so Social Security is kind of a sticky envelope just because it touches so many individuals. We're talking unemployment, disability pay, retirement, of course.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but there's something that's very unpopular that's raising the retirement age.
Right.
What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so I think it's personally inevitable, like it's going to have to happen. But there are other things that we can do to also decrease how soon Social Security will be depleted. So currently right now we're looking at 2035, Social Security will be completely depleted, and at that point 74% will be paid through our annual taxes. But another idea would be to increase our taxes to go to Social Security. So right now we're looking at 6.2% from both our, in combination of our employee and employer contributions. So if we increase that to 7.2% in 2022, and then again to 8.2% in 2052, we're going to decrease by 62% the deficit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And
Absolutely.
that's why he's the president and CEO of Goldman Sachs, because he knows numbers. Our last guest is Dustin. Dustin is a retired general that has served in the United States Army for 45 years. And Dustin has some experience traveling all over the world and viewing the economy. General, thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate your time and your service. And the first question comes from a lady from Knoxville, Tennessee, Misty Crawford. And she asks, you say that the government overspends in many areas. Give me one example that they are spending too much.
You want an example? Turtles.
Turtles?
Mm-hmm.
Did I hear you right? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, or tortoise, okay? The desert tortoise. So, starting in 2012, there was a 3-year project in Nevada, in one little section of Nevada, to build a power line between Las Vegas and Reno. Now, in order to build this power line, they had to have someone to protect the desert tortoise from being run over by construction equipment.
Sure.
So they hired a team of 7 men who built a 1-foot-high fence around each power line pad area where construction equipment would be driving to prevent the turtles or the tortoises from being run over and killed. Okay.
And I've been through those roads. Is that what the little fence is for?
Yeah, the fence that couldn't possibly keep anything out.
Yeah.
It's for the tortoise, right?
I have scratched my head numerous times and wondered what that was.
Yeah, I did that every day. Yeah. So I actually worked on this crew of building this tortoise fence. Okay. Now we were each making over 85 grand a year. Okay.
Wow.
To build this tortoise fence for a space of 3 years, and on top of this, there were 50 environmentalists with green hard hats that looked like turtles, and they were working 70 hours a week, making between $75 and $100 an hour to walk in front of our vehicle, every vehicle on the site, and make sure that nobody ran over a desert tortoise. Okay, so between just our crew of turtle fencers and the crew of turtle watchers,
Sure.
we have $315,000 a week, okay, that the government is spending on one little section of one state in the U.S., on one damn reptile, okay? So, multiply that by 52 weeks in a year. The project lasted for 3 years. That's over $52 million just in wages in these two crews.
What the hell?
Exactly. I like you. Now, so this is not even including any of the equipment or the fuel, okay, the tractors. Anyways, so that is wages alone, okay? So this is just a small example of disproportionate government spending. And what I am proposing is that the government takes some of these ridiculous wastes of money that add up, right, and put them towards something that's useful.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but if we cut those programs, what are we going to do to help still those turtles or animals that are going extinct?
Well, the desert tortoise is not going extinct, okay? I lived in the desert for many years.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yep, and I see them all the time, okay, very frequently. Okay, I even asked one of the turtle watchers on the job, do you think if we have to look for them so we don't run them over, maybe there's enough that they shouldn't be on the endangered species list? And she agreed with me. She said, I think you're right, but I'm getting paid $200,000 a year to do this, so why not do it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the fourth largest expense in the U.S. is the interest that we pay on our debt, okay? So what I'm saying is take some of these useless programs, right, just little programs comparatively, but they add up. Take that money each year, put it toward the debt. Over a period of time, we've solved the problem with debt.
And from studying your biography, you've traveled all over the world and seen the economy. Does it concern you where we're headed to?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And I appreciate this general because he understands what we can do to help our country become better. Thank you for watching this segment tonight. In conclusion, I invite each one of you to think about what you can do to fix our debt. I invite you to study these videos again and these men who are well aware of where our country is headed to. Join me next week in 60 Minutes as we talk to the Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi and what she's doing to help the national debt. Thank you and good night. And study what these three economics said and focus what you can do. Join me next week on 12 Minute.
Dang it, we're that far into the cut.
Sorry.
Months ago, I emailed each one of you shiz.
Dang it, Daniel.
What are you doing? Cole is a businessman from Goldman Sachs, and his specialty is
Goldman Sachs!
Good evening, and let me start over. Sorry, one more time. I already said. Our first guest is Cole Butcher.
Now, breaking that down in percentages, fetch. I did percentages. Well,
I'm sorry, I was messing with the time.
Start over, please. Hey, I'll be Здравствуйте, как у вас дела сегодня? Сегодня мы говорим деньги и знаете как reducing it. I'm not sure what the word for that is. But Mr. Rauch. Mr. Rauch works for Goldman Sachs and I advise you to keep going so that your future is as bright as this country.